So you've taken that all-important first step and soil sampled your garden and now await the results. The basic soil test said that I would learn about my soil's pH, buffer pH, phosphorus, and potassium. Will I need to be a soil scientist and a math genius in order to use these results? My name is Shannon Blocker, and I am the Agriculture and Natural Resources Extension Agent with K-State Research and Extension for Pottawatomie County. In this video, I will walk you through the information included in your lawn or garden soil test report. Never fear, those of us with K-State Research and Extension know that not all of you are as excited about soil fertility as I am. Therefore, the soil testing lab and I will give you the recommendations with fertilizer blend examples, weights, and even volume measurement approximations. The only thing that you need to calculate is the size in square feet of your garden or lawn. To get an area measurement, you can use a tape measure or even step it off. You can use technology like Google Earth to measure a larger area like a backyard. Feel free to ask me or a tech-savvy person if you need some assistance. As a reminder, Kansas State University is an affirmative action, equal opportunity employer and provider. Here is an example of a soil test report for a vegetable garden. Next, I will break down each section to highlight the information that is included. The most important piece of information in this section is the sample ID. In this case, the homeowner named this sample Garden North. Using a name that you can remember and reference is very important so that you can match up your soil test results with whatever fertilizer that you need to apply. This section also provides you my name and contact information in case you have any questions. The results and nutrient graph section will first give you analytical soil test results. These are the numerical results of the chemical tests the lab performed on your soil. As you can see, you will get a soil pH, buffer pH, phosphorus, and potassium level for the basic soil test package number 1. Words like Socorra or Melic 3 tell you the type of test or the chemical extractant used for the test. This is really only important when looking at results from different labs. These tests have been thoroughly evaluated and work well across all the soils present in Kansas. pH is a log scale, and phosphorus and potassium levels are provided in parts per million, or ppm. The nutrient graph below compares your soil test results with the nutrient needs of the plants that you intend to grow. In this case, we are looking at the plants commonly grown in a vegetable garden. Here you can see the optimum soil pH is between 6.0 and 7.0. Optimum phosphorus is 46 to 76 parts per million, and the optimum potassium is 200 to 221 parts per million. You will notice that the buffer pH is not on the graph. This is because buffer pH gives us a reading on how reactive the soil is to calcium carbonate. This number allows me to calculate how much lime is needed to raise the pH, if lime is needed at all. In this case, you can see that the soil pH is high, so lime will not need to be added to this soil. More on adjusting pH on our next slide. High phosphorus and potassium levels tell me right away that you do not need to apply more of these nutrients to the soil. In fact, excess phosphorus can cause freshwater algae blooms and fish kills. Knowing this information is important for management, and it is why we have the grant program for free soil testing. The comments section is where you will find which and how much fertilizer is recommended. First, it will cover pH. If your pH is good, it will state it here and say no adjustment is needed. If the pH is low, it will tell you how much lime to apply. If the pH is high, like it is in this case, it will tell you how much sulfur you need to apply in order to lower the pH. pH is the single most important piece of information provided by your soil test. pH impacts the availability of all the nutrients needed for plant growth and development. By the way, gypsum has no impact on soil pH. Under the heading Fertilizer, you will find the nutrient graph information written out in text. In this case, the phosphate and potassium levels are above optimum. Applying more of these nutrients is not necessary. Next, you'll see some examples of fertilizer blends that meet your soil fertility needs based on what you're growing and what your soil test results are. Fertilizer must be sold with 3 numbers with a dash between them. The first number is the percent nitrogen. The second number is the percent P2O5, or phosphate. And the third number is the percent K2O, which is potassium or potash. Because these fertilizer blends have a different percentage of nitrogen in them, you need to apply different amounts. The calculations have been done for you so that you apply approximately 0.12 of a pound of actual nitrogen per 100 square foot. For those interested, you can learn more about the calculations at the end of this video. Note that with fertilizers, you don't have to worry about the blend and whether it was made or marketed to fertilize a particular crop. As long as there are no herbicides or weed killers, a lawn fertilizer works well to fertilize this vegetable garden. Mixing fertilizer into the soil moves it into the root zone, ready for your plants to pick up. This is enough fertilizer to get your plants growing, but you may need to apply more during the growing season. Doing this is called top dressing. With all soil tests, you should follow the same recommendations annually until you run another soil test in 3 to 5 years. If you change crops dramatically, I can even advise you on new fertilizer recommendations without a new soil test, if desired. There is a link in the references section to more information about top dressing. K-State Research and Extension has an excellent publication entitled Fertilizing Gardens in Kansas, and I've posted the link here. A lawn soil test report looks very similar to the vegetable garden sample that we looked at earlier. All soil sample reports have the same sections, and lawn and garden samples will all have recommendations of fertilizer blends in the comments. This time we will look at the results of a soil sample called Lawn Back. This homeowner is growing tall fescue in his lawn. The pH and parts per million test results are listed here along with the nutrient graph. Do you notice anything different about this nutrient graph? On this slide, I'm showing the nutrient graph for the vegetable garden with the tall fescue lawn nutrient graph below it. Notice the levels listed as optimum. For vegetable gardens, a pH between 6.0 and 7.0 is in the optimum zone. For the lawn, a pH between 5.0 and 7.0 is still optimum. The ranges are different for phosphorus and potassium too. Higher levels of nutrients are needed for productive vegetable gardens versus lawns. By the way, the optimum levels are even lower for area crop fields. A phosphorus level of 20 parts per million and a potassium level of 130 parts per million is considered adequate for a crop field. Just like the vegetable garden sample, recommendations are made to adjust the pH and add fertilizer when appropriate. I use this example because I edited the comments in regards to pH. I knew this homeowner was having trouble establishing his lawn and thought it might be related to the low pH. It would also be an issue if he intends to plant trees, shrubs, flowers, or a vegetable garden, so it is worth mentioning how to adjust the pH by adding lime. Also notice the timing in regards to fertilizer applications for lawns. The first priority is a September application, then a November application, followed by a May application only if you've done the first 2 times and are desiring a superior lawn, one which will need to be mowed more frequently. The reference section is the same, but I've included the link here to our publication, Fertilizing Kansas Lawns, for more information. So that's all there is to reading your horticulture soil test report and recommendations. Soil test reports are tailored to whatever you are wishing to grow, including fruit trees, flowers, vegetable gardens, and lawns. In the next 2 slides, I will explain fertilizer rate calculations. For this example, your soil test report says that you should apply 1 pound of 12-22-6 fertilizer. Seems simple, and it is, but what if you cannot find that fertilizer blend? How much actual nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are you applying when you apply 1 pound of 12-22-6 fertilizer? Remember that the numbers separated by dashes on any fertilizer tell us the percent nitrogen, percent P2O5, and percent K2O. Therefore, this fertilizer has 12% nitrogen, 22% P2O5, and 6% K2O. Using basic algebra, you can calculate that by applying 1 pound of this fertilizer, you are applying 12 hundredths of a pound of actual nitrogen, 22 hundredths of a pound of actual P2O5, and 6 hundredths of a pound of actual K2O fertilizer. So if I wanted to apply 12 hundredths of a pound of actual nitrogen, but only found a fertilizer that was 24% nitrogen, how much would I need to apply? If you answered half a pound, you are correct. If you are using our K-State Research and Extension Fertilizing Gardens and Fertilizing Lawns publications, they will give you our recommendations in pounds of actual nitrogen, actual P2O5, and actual K2O instead of by fertilizer blend. If 1 pound of P2O5 is recommended, how much 12-22-6 fertilizer do you need to apply? 1 divided by 22% in decimal form equals a little more than 4.5 pounds of fertilizer. Now, if I apply this fertilizer, how much actual nitrogen did I apply? 4.5 pounds times 12% in decimal form equals a little more than half a pound of nitrogen. Remember, all fertilizers are sold and rates are calculated in this way. You can even combine 2 or more and make your own custom blend. By following soil test recommendations, you can meet the plant needs and help protect the environment from excess nutrients all at the same time.